Well, Mama, we're live. Yeah, that's right. No intro. That's what it is this morning. And we're just going straight into it because we don't have the time today, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy JR, and we are coming to you hot off of what has been 5 insane conference finals games. Well, 4.5. It's the Sports Affiliation's Hoops live show, and we're talking about the conference finals today. We're going to give you some reviews. We're going to talk about previewing today's game. We're going to go with a couple of bets. Might even try to squeeze in a little WNBA since that's just popping off right now. So, yeah, here we go. Yeah. Um, we put out a couple of polls over the last few days, few weeks actually. And leading up until, and let's start off with the Eastern Conference Finals. Right now, Boston up 2-0 over the 3-0 over the Indiana Pacers. Sorry, I forgot about that game that was given away last night as well as first game. So we need to go ahead and start off with this. It looks like Boston just may well sweep the Indiana Pacers, which is very, very hard to say. And I say that with the poll that we put out at the end of game one, in which we saw what is equivalent to the biggest professional brain fart we've seen on live TV. We had back-to-back moments in which Indiana had what one would consider in this stage of the game a comfortable lead, 5 points with under 2 minutes to go, fourth quarter. So all it comes down to is late game execution. Keep that in mind because we're going to need to address late game execution on the other side of the conference in the NBA in a minute. But late game execution comes down to a bad pass, poor handling the ball, poor coverage, and a great shot to send game one between Boston and Indiana into overtime. You're up 5. You are coming off a comfortable win over a debilitated New York Knicks team. And at the end of this game, Boston somehow covers the spread in overtime. Thankfully, I'm sure we all hit things that overtime. Got a lot of overs that game. Boston comes out to win it, so they go up 1-0. And we put out the poll. I put out the poll. If you thought that Boston earned or won that game, or if Indiana essentially laid an egg and gave away that game. And there was an overwhelming response. There's about 50, almost 60 votes on this poll. 80% of you guys thought Indiana gave away the game, and I could not agree more. There has to be something specifically wrong with a team who, I don't want to say kind of backdoored their way into the conference finals, because there's always, when it comes to sports, anything can happen, and it's your job as a professional to win the game. I understand that. But there's this sort of unwritten integrity. It's what it is. You look at the integrity and the true value of a team, and you think about the competition that is to be put forth as far as a product. And when I and several others all agree that when we say Indiana does not deserve to be in these conference finals, it is not to say that they don't deserve to be basketball professionals. Let's go ahead and separate that argument right now. The 3-0 lead from Boston is a result of not just Boston's ability to play, because again, we're going to talk about game 3, their come from behind victory to beat the Indiana Pacers 114-111 in game 3. It is much more about the ability of Indiana to have in 2 games significant leads and have them lost in 2 quarters, like basically a quarter and a half. Basically, Boston just kind of, well, I guess we're going to play now, played great defensive stretches, had bad offensive stretches on part of Indiana in both games. Okay, it wasn't just game one where Indiana actually fought tooth and nail against Boston. Boston looked like they were a little bit asleep at the wheel, and we all thought, okay, here's this game that they are going to drop. They essentially lost it with bad leg game execution, with more of the starters being healthy. This is what we're talking about. We compare Indiana to the ability of the New York Knicks to basically grind it out when one of their when their stars aren't all hitting. It's like someone else steps up, but because of injury, short rotation, blah blah blah, New York's not here. So we have to talk about Indiana, and I believe that we are, as fans, as people that analyze the game, even as people that participate in the game, we are allowed to scrutinize this integrity of the game that's happening right now between Boston and Indiana. And it's not to take anything away from Boston. Again, a lot of people put Boston in the finals from the jump because they basically retooled just a little bit, tweaked a little bit. You know, they were coming back stronger. The whole thing with Miami, we felt was a fluke. They were super strong, blah blah blah. They're the number one overall team. But Indiana has essentially watered down this series. 2 double-digit leads, specifically last night, which made it worse. I mean, shout out to everyone that stepped up. Andrew Nembhard, if you guys put some money on him, definitely you got your money's worth that game. Having a 15-point second quarter, absolutely torched Boston. Had Boston looking like they were on its heels, although towards the end there was of the before the half, and then Boston went on a little like 9-2, 9-3 run. Would have been 9-0 had Nembhard not hit that insane half court shot to put them up 12. But what we're talking about now is, okay, you get this lead, which was 18, by the way, at the at the in the middle of the second quarter. You got this team on their heels. How do you not have the wherewithal from a defensive-minded coach, a defense to offense coach, I would say specifically, Rick Carlisle? How do you not impress upon your team, okay, we need to go ahead and slow this team down. We're probably not going to get great looks. We're probably going to have some stretches where we're not getting to the free throw line. We're going to have some bad spurts, but don't start giving away shots to the likes of JB, JT, even Drew Holiday hit a couple of great corner threes in that quarter to shrink that lead. You got to stay on top of a championship caliber team. If this and to say that, oh yes, we deserve to be here, you have to be able to take championship punches and keep on rolling. And this team didn't, because that lead ballooned, shrank, ballooned, shrank, ballooned, shrank, to the point where we're watching down again in the last 2 minutes, poor execution occur, foul trouble affect the guys that can score, and we have another set of 3-point shots that essentially took the life out of Indiana. They had no gas towards the end of game 3. And now we're sitting here and we're looking at Boston 3-0. So we're going to ask you guys later on in the comments, do you think Indiana deserves to be here? It's a valid question. Okay. I'm absolutely serious. I don't have the confidence to bet on Indiana. This is the first game that Indiana has lost at home this entire time that they've been in the playoffs. And this is also the first time that I've been 99% sure. I mean, every dog has their day. 99% sure that we are going to get a sweep. I'm not 100% sure to put some money on it, but I'm 99% sure to say that if Boston, like this doesn't matter what the plus minus is for game 4, I'm betting Boston. And I'm saying that as someone that doesn't like to bet Boston anything, anytime. But for this particular series, yes, some players are definitely going to show up, and we don't know the health status of And I'm drawing a blank here. It's early in the morning. Sometimes the dad brain jumps in and coffee isn't working. We'll get back to that. But we don't know the complete health status of Indiana's point guard for Game 4 with the hamstring injury, um, and that is going to be I don't think there's going to be so much of a factor whether we're going to have a full strength Indiana team or not, because Boston just seems to be that good. They can fall asleep for 2.5 quarters, 3 quarters, and come back on this particular team. Now, had this been any other team, I believe that Boston would be in the middle of a dogfight, in the middle of a series. Uh, in fact, let's go ahead and talk about a couple of guys that have been particularly doing well and consistent. Boston's in, and then we're going to shift over to the West. Um, let's talk about the play uh, of uh, of Derek White. Let's talk about Drew Holiday, and we also got to talk about the effect of the 3-pointer by Jaylen Brown. um, so Jaylen Brown's not a really big 3-point shooter, and he has hit a couple of big shots, which has surprised the heck out of me. And if you guys are betting the under on him, I'm pretty sure that every now and then you've gotten upset that he's hit one or two. But as far as if you're laying anything down for his points, rebounds, points, assists, um, first half, we missed game two first half under. I can tell you that. I bet the first half under game two for Jaylen Brown because I had assumed, like many others, that he was going to have a quiet first half and then come out the second half because they probably wouldn't need him, get other guys involved, get other guys rolling to start with. That's sort of been Boston's MO, is where start moving the ball around, feel out the defense that you're putting forward, and then just go ahead and jump right in for the kill shot, starting with the quarter. We've seen that for 3 games now. But JB, first half PRA, having a quiet first, points attempted. In game 2, shot the ball really well, was aggressive early and on, which is why you saw that huge double-digit win, which is what we expected of Boston for game 2. But it's been on and off. But as far as the end result, betting Jaylen Brown seems to be a safe bet this series. So game 4 may be less of a performance. Let's bring up a couple of quick stats here just to see where Mr. Brown has been doing for this series. Box score. And for those of you just tuning in, for a few of you here, for those of you sharing, watching at home, this is the Sports Affiliation Hoops live show. We go in every Sunday, 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or whatever time it is in your local time zone. I'm sure you're having your mimosa, finishing your brunch, or like me, getting your first sip of liquid fuel for the day. Currently recapping the Eastern Conference Finals at a surprisingly disappointing on the part of Indiana. They've been putting forth a fight, but just hasn't been able to finish. So Jaylen Brown last night goes 10 for 18, over 50%, hits a 3-pointer, 1 for 5, but still hits a 3-pointer. So a lot of the lines have been 1.5. Minus that 40 game monster from game 2. It's pretty consistent. Let's see here. Tuesday. Okay, let's see. Box score again. 128, 133 on the game 2, and Jaylen Brown. It's sort of 10 for 20, of course, 1 for 4. But okay, 26 of PRA. Yeah, 33, 38. Okay. So Jaylen Brown's are right around the 40 range. So if you are thinking that maybe you could probably bet on him, I would not bet the under. He gets way too involved for me to bet the under, but consistently he has shown I know I'm contradicting myself, but for me, when I see a trend, I'm always looking for the moment that an outlier would happen. And game four could actually be that game where it could be the Jaylen Brown show, just to kind of finish it off. We don't know. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with Tyrese Halliburton because he has that injury. He was out for game three, and as I keep saying Neesmith, but Nimbard, Andrew Nimbard was the one that went off game three. We still don't know what Halliburton's going to be, if he's going to be 100% or not, and I don't think it's really going to matter. Indiana has the ability to score. We know that they were the number one scoring offense in the NBA for regular season. Where that scoring goes late in the fourth quarter, I have absolutely no idea. Where the execution goes, it looks like they just need to pour it on for 3 quarters and then hopefully like coast towards the end. That seems to be more their MO. They need to pad enough of a lead, but I think guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just have too much in the tank. Y'all, we need to talk about Derek White's shooting. This is who I really want to discuss. Derek White was considered not to be the most improved player, but 6th man of the year by a lot of us at the Sports Affiliation. Early on favorite for most improved player. But also low-key MVP vibes, because he had come off of a season where essentially he was a guy that could give you 10 or 11, and we thought he was like a great defender, thought that he did a lot in the last few games in the Miami series when we weren't seeing anything from Jason Tatum. We weren't seeing enough from Jaylen Brown in order for them to beat Miami to get onto the Eastern Conference Finals last year. This year, this guy has been super consistent and absolutely important for every game this season. That is the consistency that we like to see, and that feels like easy money right there. So if you're looking for Derek White, I'm thinking if the line's at about 15 for the PRA, if it's about 16, 17, go ahead, do it, hit it. Derek White is good for at least a couple of threes, which will dive into the points real quick. He gets heavily involved in the rebounding aspect of trying to be disruptive, shutting down the opposing team's player, making things happen, so that way those stats of his do accumulate. And if you're just looking for someone to follow, see how they affect this series and who they could possibly be guarding for the winner of the Dallas and Minnesota series, I definitely would look at Derek White, because again, I don't try to praise mini Celtics often, but you got to give credit where credit's due, and Derek White has definitely been the X factor for this series. I mean, I know we're missing Kristaps Porzingis, and everyone's wondering what's going to happen to this Celtics team. Here you go. Yeah, I pretty much think KP could probably come back game 2 of the NBA Finals, and Boston would still be okay. All right, so that goes with that. On the Indiana side, as far as their next game, the only consistent point scorer that I'm thinking that you're probably going to want to bet on is Pascal Siakam, because he is the natural scorer. He is right now their offense. Them and Miles Turner. Miles Turner shot a bunch of threes in game 2. He seemed to have been hitting pretty consistently and then sort of fell off a cliff. But between him and Pascal Siakam, 24, 25, you're good for points there. Rebounds, Miles Turner, 7 or over. Yeah, I'm okay with that line. Anything that starts to get like 8 or 9, I'm starting to worry about, because those long balls seem to just keep falling away, and Boston is just collecting them. You got smaller guys, faster guys like Peyton Pritchard that just get quicker to the ball. So kind of hard to gauge the rebounds for that. But Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, if you're looking for a pacer to bet on for that series. Okay, so now today, Anthony Edwards, where art thou in this series? Luka has come in and basically robbed y'all of an opportunity to see something somewhat greatness. All the top teams just seem to be falling off in the West, and it's mainly, I don't know if it's late game execution. But right now, what we can definitely say is that Luka's that man. Luka is a bad man. I'm absolutely sorry, y'all. This is kind of what it felt like as far as the conference finals are concerned, when it was Dirk, Jet, um, Kid, and a slew of other guys that just absolutely torched my Lakers for on their way to their second NBA championship, and it looked like there was you had no answer. You're wondering who wasn't stepping up. You're starting to point fingers and point blame. So let's just break down that last sequence, okay, of game two. What's up, Wendy? Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah, Luka is so good, and it's hard to like him though. I got a guy at work that consistently comes in and tells me how much he hates Luka. Shout out to Luka Doncic. Hopefully that you play in the Olympics this summer. Would love to see you play that international ball, my friend. But let's break down that last sequence. So again, you're down 2. You could go 2 for the tie. Ball's going to be in someone's hands. It's out of bounds play, and your McDoubles, I like to call them McDaniels. You're on Luka. You're guarding him high. The ball gets inbounded, and if you're looking at how Luka normally likes to score, it's pound dribble left, switch to right, drive, hit a floater. Okay, so already that's not being given. It's too late in the game. It's a stupid amount of energy that's being spent, and then Dallas decides to try to get a switch, which they earn from a very very soft down screen, which pushes Luka's guy off and essentially out of the play. So now you get the switch off, and you end up with yo, what's good, Iggy? You end up with a switch for our defense of now 4-time defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, switch on to Luka. So if you guys have ever defended someone shifty, the lower you get and the wider you get, the more area you can cover. The problem is that you're also covering a shifty shooter. So Luka pound dribbles right, pound dribbles left, and then the move comes where Rudy's already in the blender, and Rudy's shifting his feet. He's shifting his feet back and forth. And I've never seen a giraffe dance before, but that's exactly what it looked like. Because Luka's not going anywhere. Luke's not going anywhere. He's staying in about the length of about maybe 4.5 feet. That's it. Rudy's wingspan is like astronomical, okay? He could probably wrap himself around a couple of globes. And all Rudy's got to do is stay home. Stay home a little bit. If Luka wants to drive into you, that's fine. If Luka wants to try to draw a foul, that's fine. If someone wants to come up and help double, that would be great. But Minnesota left Rudy Gobert out there on an island, and now all anyone can say, I almost took the bait, because every single season I take the bait and I say something adverse or nasty about Rudy when he fails at this aspect of the game. He gets shook, and you see it. And for some reason, he does this weird jump, this jump guard thing. I don't know. This is not something one normally does unless they lose their footing. But Rudy had shifted. He shifted his energy. He shifted his energy back. He shifted his weight back again. And that last shift, he jumped, and he jumps back. If you give up a 2, you tie. So you have to go to overtime. Oh, well, live with it. I don't understand how he jumped himself out of the defensive position in order to guard Luka. And Luka didn't so much have space. Like, he didn't like push off or anything like that, or shake Rudy out of his ankles. I don't know where Rudy thought that Luka was going, but if you are turned Now, and we're looking at Rudy. If your turn like Luka is going left and you're reaching back towards the play on that, you might as well go ahead and skate on to France because that's it. You're done. You're cooked. And so Luka hits a 3 and we're all singing, hey, Dallas is up 2-0. They stole 2 in the series. Absolutely phenomenal play by Luka. Don't get me wrong. But late game execution, we talked about that in the Indiana-Boston series. We need to talk about that for this game in particular because that was a poor late game execution on Minnesota's part for a team that has been stouting the number one defense for the whole season. Like, is it just players that get involved individually? Is it just you are the number one defensive team on interior drives? If you get the number one overall defensive rating and the number one overall defense for at least opponent's points scored for the season, you think that you would have a system, Jason Kidd, on how to shut things like that down. Great D, better O is what I like to say. But man, it's like utterly disappointing how we end up with this game again. And then we're going to talk about game 1 as well for this series, where it comes down to either guys not showing up, guys getting themselves out of the play. Anthony Edwards has been a statistical disappointment for this series. Probably one of the main reasons why Minnesota's down 2-0 and not at least splitting this series. We expected for this to be a dogfight, a much better series as far than Dallas versus Oklahoma City. We think that this is a better matchup for Dallas. And also, it's nice to kind of wake up and see a message from my boy Iggy and say, it's hard to see a team that's down 0-2 that gave away a double-digit lead be in this series that overcame a 20-point deficit versus the reigning champions. It probably is making a lot of Denver fans sick to say, this is who we lost to? The guy that's been talking stuff like, yeah, we're about that life. Yeah, talk that stuff while you're still up. And Anthony Edwards, who's had a paltry series. He's shot. Let's get his let's get this young man's stats for yesterday. Okay. So, oh my goodness. And again, good morning, everyone, or late morning for some of y'all that are tuning in from the East Coast. This is the Sports Affiliation's Hoop Show. It's your boy JR running solo dolo today, but that's okay because we know that this is just a selfie promo, baby. Let's go. We're going to give you some more NBA bets today. We're previewing the conference finals. We're talking some stuff. We hope that you guys are tuned in next Sunday when we're probably going to get the start of the NBA finals at the way that things are looking. We're talking about this series where Dallas is up 2-0 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'm just flummoxed. I'm just absolutely confused as to why Minnesota has not won one. Okay. 109, 108, game 2. No, we're not going to that game. Yes, we are going to that game because you know what? We need to talk about Anthony Edwards. Oh, so of course they put Anthony Edwards up in the box score 21, 5, and 7, but he struggled to get this 21. Okay, guys. Anthony Edwards, 5 for 17. There is a 10-minute stretch of which Anthony Edwards did not score. This is the face of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Did not score. Floaters, weird layups, forced three-pointers. Don't know if he's dealing with something physically. Don't know if it's something mentally. But whatever was happening in that Game 7 in the previous series versus Denver has continued on. Man, 5 for 17. That's 30%. That's 29%. Let's not round up. Let's call it what it is. That's a goose egg. And you have to essentially depend on this guy as your alpha. He got outscored by Nas Reed, who rightfully so got sixth of the year, but has been absolutely inefficient. And I was explaining this to JC from the last series. When you have a scoring drought as a player, when your shot's not falling, the best shot to kind of convince you that your shots are going to start falling in again is a layup, especially a wide open layup. You get free, you get a wide open layup, that it's reward for expending a certain amount of energy. And you're tuned in listening, but you'll see the recording later. Internet, all that good stuff just drops out again. It happens every now and then. We have technical difficulties here at the Sports Affiliation, but we keep the ball rolling. We're talking about this Dallas Minnesota series, and I don't know if you are Jason Kidd, what's the thing that you're going to do game 3 to affect the likes of Luka to keep his scoring down? They're doing a great job of keeping Kyrie scoring down, but it's only one head of this two-headed dragon, of which they've been attacked by. If it's not one, it's the other, and then someone else is always stepping up for Dallas. Someone is always stepping up for Dallas, and it's a question of if one of the big three is going to start doing the same for Minnesota. This let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about Okay, we're not going to talk about Kyle Anderson. Okay, we need to talk about some three-point shooting, and you guys bet on Naz Reid. If you get a chance, bet on Naz Reid. If you have the money, bet on Naz Reid. Get Naz Reid in your lineups if you're doing fantasy this late. Get Naz Reid on your three-pointers if you have three-pointers to bet on. If they're giving you the over at about 3, take the over. 4, it's a possibility, might be a push. Let's talk about 5 and up if that's the line. But Naz Reid has been consistently hitting. Naz Reid has been hitting his three-point shots. It's part of the reason why he's had so many 20-point games this series. That's why because he's great inside, outside. He's been defending really well. He's been stepping in when Cat and Rudy have been out. Great rotation guy. Naz Reid has been that dude. So I think that what you guys were going to want to do is bet on him next game. See, anyone else that we need to talk about today? I really don't think so. I mean, again, I really would like to torch Rudy Gobert for that last play, game 2, but it really was more of a poor execution as far as the switch down the stretch. Rudy Gobert got stuck on an island. He's still doing well in the rebound category, still hitting a double-double. Got 10 rebounds last night. He's +1 overall for that game. I think that what we're probably going to need to talk about is what Jason Kidd does next. Going deep into the his rotation, deep into his bench to try to throw some bodies at Luka, because that will probably be the next best thing. Minnesota has had Minnesota did win their first 2 games on the road last series. They dropped their next 2 at home. So it's possible that Minnesota could turn into a road winning team, which is very dangerous to say because they are the home team this series. Minnesota has an ability to come back. This is what's supposed to be the better series. Is game 3 Mondays after you guys get your hot dogs, your hamburgers, and you sing your Star Spangled Banners. Make sure it's tuned into. JC's going to be running another live watch. I would be hard pressed to say you guys need to either be on the panel or in the comment section talking about everything that we talked about here today. Put what bets you laid on and who you're looking for as an X factor, because I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards next game. It's going to be who's going to be the difference in between Minnesota making this a series or not. I'm betting the Minnesota money line in the next game, but we'll see how you guys fare. And don't forget to come back to these shows, rewatch them, and tell us how you did as far as your assessment of these series. Let us know. Did we get it wrong? You think we were way off? You think we're off right now? You think I'm off right now? Interaction is key. We always appreciate the feedback. We always appreciate the comments. We always appreciate interacting with you, TSA watchers, readers, and NBA fans alike. And speaking of hoops, let's do a quick shift over to the mayhem of the WNBA. Definitely some great plays that are out there as far as betting is concerned. Some great stuff that's happening early on. It's great seeing the news of games being sold out and arenas having to be shifted, or places to play being shifted for every single game. Just about every game this series for the Indiana Fever, who are now 1-6, I believe, 1-6 or 1-5. The Caitlin Clark, we want to call it the Caitlin Clark effect, but really it's the 2024 draft class effect. Is absolutely insane. It is real. We got Angel Reese. We got actually and Camila Cardoso, who Camila finally is she made her season debut a few games ago. We finally get to see these two in action. Chicago Sky been on a barn burner, and they beat the heavy-handed New York Liberty the other day, which was an absolute mind cluster of I don't know what's going on. If you guys tune into any radio station, especially those on Sirius XM or tuning us here at the Sports Affiliation, we have partners. We have people that we follow that are following the dub, that talk about the dub. And one thing is for sure, across the board, thanks to this draft class, and there's a complete media shift and there's a complete power shift. Last year, it was between two teams. It was the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. This year, it's wide open. Anyone can be champ. Literally, anyone can be champ. And that's not that anyone's lost a step. It's that everyone is playing at that high of a level right now. One of the teams that I'm following right now, Connecticut Sun. You guys need to follow them right now. Like right now. Money right now. You're listening to my voice. If you're watching this show, get on it right now. Stop playing. The Connecticut Sun are that team. They are the team that's coming back. They retooled. They got healthier. They were a couple of good executed plays down the stretch away from actually making it a series against the New York Liberty to be that team to represent the East in the WNBA finals. They were that close to play the Aces instead of the Liberty. You guys need to watch that team. And any game that has one of the lottery picks in there, you guys need to watch and bet on these women because they are absolutely killing it right now. Yeah, Caitlin Clark has dropped a bunch of games. Yeah, she had that first game where she was 20 and 10 turnovers. Yeah, but the learning curve is much more shallow. Everyone's getting back on board that much faster this season than as opposed to last season. And the crazy part is, unlike in the NBA where you have the draft in like March or in June, and then you have this hiatus of no basketball, then you have your summer league, and then you have your preseason, and then you have your season. You have 5 players that went from the NCAA finals to being drafted to playing preseason to playing actual games. They had 2 days. 2 days of rest, 2 days of no basketball. I think if I had 2 days off of no work and I came back, I would still want to call out of work. I would probably not be as productive. And to be able to continue on in dominance at your position, following it, I know that we can talk about youth, we can talk about the fact that they're still in playing form and all that stuff, but you still need a break. And these women have been playing for a whole year round, and they're saying some of them are going to be playing in the Olympics too. Olympics happens during the WNBA season. Monsters. Anyway, we're gonna post some plays later. Make sure to follow this video, follow the link along, follow us at the Sports Affiliation. You can follow me. You see my little moniker down there for X/Twitter is at the number 4, letter F, Apollo, all strung together. I'm your boy JR. If you guys have any other questions, please put them in the comment section. Please let me know. If you have anything afterwards, we definitely will address it. We will be addressing some off-season stuff soon. We still got Olympics coming up. We got the rest of the NBA finals to go. And yes, normally there are more of us, but hey, it's Memorial Day weekend. If you guys are working today, be safe out there. Hopefully you get home to your families, be able to enjoy tomorrow, maybe a day off. If not, if you don't get tomorrow off, hey, don't work too hard. Have your boss lay off. Maybe everyone can go have a beer or two. You know it's going to be Modelo time tomorrow, Modelo Monday on Memorial Day. Shout out to the whole Sports Affiliation crew. Thanks, guys, for having me on. We may be cutting it a little short, but hey, this is what happens when it's solo dolo. And again, running it down today. Today you got Boston at Indiana, game 4. Okay. Boston money line, punch it. JB PRA over, punch it. Miles Turner rebounds over, offensive rebounds, punch it. The score total, might be an over. This series has been hitting average about 115. So 225 over, punch it. It was absolutely crazy scoring fest the other day in the first half. Uh, we got Dallas and Minnesota Monday. I'm putting Minnesota money line, punch it. Anthony Edwards, let's get him over 20, man. If the line is over 20 points, or 20 points or over, punch it. I'm taking that bet. Let's get Rudy Gobert offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. What was he, about 10 rebounds the other game? So 9 over, I'm taking it. Anything 11, 12-ish, we're starting to get to the underside. So remember, 9, punch it, over. Under, it's 11, under. We're starting to flow to the under. Luka, Kyrie, Luka tends to get high PRA. He tends to get that 55 range, and it's always a maybe or under. I like the under. And then we'll post a ticket of what I decide to do for these 2 games. We'll do about like a 3-leg for each of them and see what happens. Kyrie, high assist factor there. Definitely got some good rebound potential there. Points, he's good for about 18 to 22. Just depends on the game. So if you see anything around that range, points, 18, you can hit the over. The under, it's just, if they decide to shift, if Minnesota decides to shift the defense to Luka instead of Kyrie, then Kyrie's going to cook, of course, and then he's going to go off for like 35. And then I'm going to look like a fool for this show for getting up this early here at the Sports Affiliation for doing this. That is my time. I'm going to go be dad now and go barbecue some. I got 6 miles to run. I'm going to go sweat. Maybe sweat like Indiana is doing right now as to what their status is or if they're going to go home today or not. This has been fun. I appreciate you all and a much more lit show. This is the Sports Affiliation. Appreciate you guys. Take care and happy Memorial Day weekend. Peace.